bartender. So he's going to be doing all the work. We're so happy that we're all on this video together, this virtual cocktail thing together. It's our first one, and I think it's going to be kind of fun. And you're in for a real treat because Julie Pierotti does the best job with the tours, as you all probably know because you've done them before. But this is going to be kind of fun and different, having her do it virtually. So we will start now with our fabulous peach mint iced tea bourbon drink. So first of all, I want to give a shout out to Buster's. All of this, except for the lemonade, it's homemade, and the simple syrup and stuff can be gotten from Buster's. And I'll bet you anything, if you call Josh, he put together a package for you and it would be absolutely delicious. And we also want to give a shout out to the Marston group. Chip Marston and his group have generously sponsored this, and we appreciate that so much. So let's get down to business. One thing is, since we're all here together virtually, technically, if you're alone, you're not drinking alone, so that's all good. And if you don't want to have an alcoholic beverage, what you can do is take your homemade lemonade and your iced tea and put it together for a delicious thing called an Arnold Palmer. And it's a great refreshing drink, so you can do that if you don't want to add the bourbon. So first things first, will you please get out the ice balls?
I will.
They call them whiskey balls in the sorry about that, in the recipe, but they're not whiskey balls, they're ice balls. Oh, it's gonna break.
How about that?
How cool is that? Oh, I swear, I hope that didn't break the glass. So there is your ice ball. And if you don't have that, just get regular ice. It's just as good, but an ice ball is kind of fun. And you can get those at Buster's too. Now we need 1 ounce of bourbon per glass. And when we were looking through all their stuff, we were looking through the liquor cabinet, and I found this bottle of Pappy Van Winkle's, which I was so excited about until I realized somebody had been drinking the Pappies without me. So we're going to put this aside.
I'm not sure who that might be.
I know exactly who it was. All right, there we go. Is that one? Okay. One for you and one for me.
Okay.
Is that the bottle making that noise?
Yeah, that was not me. I can't do that. I'm very talented, but I can't do that.
Okay, then we need 1/2 ounce of the peach liqueur, which smells really good. Well done. There you go. Oh, and I meant to tell you, it calls for a Collins glass. And these are just highball glasses, but the ball won't fit in the Collins glass, so we're not using that. But it holds exactly the same amount of liquid. So if you want to use a glass like this, it's fine. You don't have to use a tall, thin one. Okay, that's great. And then, 1 teaspoon each of simple syrup. Now here's your simple syrup. And simple syrup is exactly what it sounds like. It's simple. It's 1 cup or 1/2 a cup or whatever amount you want of sugar, and then the same amount of water. And if you have an Insta-Hot, you just mix it in there and it dissolves the sugar, and it's so easy, because a lot of times I would put it over the stove and forgot that I'd done it, and the next thing you know, the fire department's here, and it's just never a good thing. So use your Insta-Hot. You know that's true.
I was here.
So, okay.
I came here.
So use your Insta-Hot if you can, and just make a simple syrup. And we only needed 1 teaspoon for each of these drinks, but you need it for your homemade lemonade. So I made like a regular amount. Hold on here. We'll do this. 1. That's not enough. That's kind of better. Okay, 1. It's not holding a whole teaspoon. That's why I'm doubling up. Okay, so we have that. And now I'm going to pour this in the lemonade. And do we have a long spoon? The special.
I'll get you one.
Oh, here's one. Here it is. Okay, so we'll kind of mix that up. And then I've done it before, so I know I'm going to need a little more cold water because it's a little tart and a little sweet. So we'll just add about that much. It's kind of a big pitcher for a little bit of lemonade. But there we go. That's your lemonade. And all you do is squeeze a ton of lemons. I've moved this over to show you. Yeah, good. I mean, there's just piles of them.
And piles of them.
Like 8 to 10 lemons. You just squeeze them, get rid of the seeds, and it'll make about a cup of lemonade. And then you take a cup of sugar and a cup of water and do the same thing as a simple syrup. Make the sugar and the water dissolve together, then add your cup of lemons, and it's really, really good. It's very refreshing.
This one's missing something, it looks like.
I don't know. You got a smaller ball.
Okay.
So there you go. All right, now equal parts of this iced tea and lemonade. I'm doing the lemonade first. Oop, you get the seeds. Sorry about that. There's only one. I got all of them out except for that one. Yeah, mine does look bigger, doesn't it?
But you're all right. It's a
Okay.
size. It's a size.
And now we'll do the tea.
So that's a sweet tea, right?
I think it's unsweet tea.
No, I think it's sweet.
Okay, it's sweet tea. My bad. This might be sweeter than it's supposed to be. Then we add a little fresh mint and then some peach slices. I don't have room for peach slices, so you get two. That's good.
I love it.
And then we'll stir it up. And everyone, from us to you, to your very good health during these very strange times, we're awfully happy that we're all here together. Cheers.
Cheers.
That's good.
Excellent.
Really good. I hope y'all's is as
It
good
is
as
excellent.
ours.
I highly recommend it.
So Julie, we're turning it over to you. I think.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dixon. It feels so good to be giving y'all a tour with our galleries full of paintings again. Isn't that exciting? First of all, I want to thank y'all for your support and your membership while we've been closed to the public, and I hope y'all had the chance to come see the gardens since they've been open, and now our galleries are open. Isn't that exciting? And we are so thrilled to be opening kind of with a bang with this exhibition called For America, Paintings from the National Academy of Design. So let me tell you a little bit about the National Academy, and it'll kind of help you understand this exhibition a little bit. The National Academy of Design in New York is the country's oldest artist-founded artist honorary society. So it was founded by artists for artists. And it was founded in the 1820s. And when an artist is elected to become a national academician, it's a very high honor. And when they receive that honor, they're required to give a diploma painting. It's actually in there described as a specimen of their own production, which kind of sounds like something you give at the doctor's office, doesn't it? But it's actually a painting that the artist has created. And in the 1830s, the next decade, they added another requirement. When you become an associate of the National Academy, you're required to give a portrait of yourself, either created by yourself, so a self-portrait, or created by another artist. So we're here in front of a great example of that in this first gallery of the exhibition, which is dedicated largely to artists of the Hudson River School, which is the country's first great native art movement. And we have the self-portrait of Asher B. Durand, who's one of the great Hudson River School painters, and a landscape by him. So this would be an example of what an artist would have to give to the National Academy's collection to become a full academician. And Asher B. Durand was one of the founding members of the National Academy. So of course he would have both of his works represented here. The landscape that we have by him is a great example of Hudson River School painting. It's showing this kind of pristine American landscape and two small figures, probably artists, out enjoying that landscape and how pristine and beautiful it is and uniquely American. So this gallery is full of kind of the who's who of the Hudson River School. We've got Kensett, Asher B. Durand, and Durand, if you've been to Crystal Bridges, you've probably seen Kindred Spirits there. That's kind of his masterpiece. And then we have Bierstadt and Frederick Church down the line. So this is kind of a hall of fame, basically, of the Hudson River School. So come on in the galleries and we'll go see some more. Okay, so another area where the National Academy's collection is really great is in late 19th and early 20th century paintings. And we've got some great artist friendships. I hope some of y'all are on here tonight with your friends. And this is a great time to talk about that. And I think we'll see some really kind of surprising artist friendships here, starting with John Singer Sargent. So we have here the one closest to me is Sargent's self-portrait. He's about 40 years old when he made it. But his diploma piece that he sent to the National Academy is actually a portrait of his friend. You may have heard of him. His name's Claude Monet. So it's actually a portrait of Monet in the 1880s. You know, you generally think of Monet as an old man with a gray beard, but here he is as a younger man. And actually, one of my friends said he looks like kind of a young hipster. But Sargent and Monet Monet were really good friends, and Sergeant painted Monet on several occasions, and it's cool to see that kind of cross-pollination between European Impressionism and American art through that friendship. Another cool friendship is this one between William Merritt Chase, kind of this giant of American art in the late 19th century, and his friend Robert Blum. So Chase, you may have heard us talk about him several times, but most recently in the 2019 exhibition from just 1 year ago, last summer, on Kate Freeman Clark. So William Merritt Chase was Kate Freeman Clark's mentor and teacher, and you may remember from that show so many paintings that Kate Freeman Clark did were either on burlap or really thick weave canvas. So if you get up close to this painting, it's called An Idle Moment, or The Young Orphan. You can see the really kind of heavy texture of the canvas that Chase was using. Also, another kind of fun connection, I think, to make with this one is the pose of this young woman in this chair, I think is kind of riffing on Whistler's Mother, that really iconic painting of the old woman in the chair that we've all seen spoofed on the internet a million times. So Chase was friends with Robert Blum and painted this portrait of Blum in the 1880s. Blum was another painter, he was also friends with Sargent, that worked both in the United States and in Europe. And here's Blum's diploma presentation piece called Two Idlers. And every time I come down to look at this painting, I wish I was the woman in the hammock. She just looks so comfortable right now, and it doesn't seem like it would hit the spot on a day like this. And just down the road, we've got another old friend of the Dixon. If you're a loyal Dixonian, you'll remember our 2014 exhibition on Charles Courtney Curran. That's Curran in the painting. It's William J. Whittemore's portrait of Curran. So it's exciting to have old friends in the building and make some new ones too. Isn't it pleasant to look at paintings of American Impressionism right now? These beautiful garden subjects are so kind of refreshing and fun this time of year. This is such a beautiful painting. It's by Frederick Carl Frieseke. It's called Hollyhocks. So this is a great example of American Impressionism. This was painted around 1911. So if you think about that, French Impressionism had kind of come and gone already. But in the United States, American artists kind of clung to that style of, that Impressionist style of painting. And actually, Frieseke had a house just down the road from Monet in Giverny. So he's another one of these artists that's painting on both sides of the Atlantic, so in France and in the United States. And he painted hollyhocks pretty frequently. And another kind of common motif of for Frieseke is to have these women in the garden, so comparing feminine beauty to floral beauty, which is just kind of an age-old theme embraced by artists. Another thing Frieseke did pretty frequently was have these women who look giant standing amidst the garden. So if you actually look at her, see how long she is from her waist down to where her dress hits the ground? She could be a supermodel, I think, today. But I think this is a beautiful painting by him. And if you're interested in American Impressionism, you are in luck, because this January we'll be opening a show called America's Impressionism, and it's a really beautiful, really big exhibition that celebrates American Impressionism and the directions that American artists took that French Revolution in painting.
We hope you're enjoying tonight's event. I'm Chip Marston, Managing Partner of the Marston Group and proud sponsor of the Cosmopolitans. 2020 has brought us back to the important things: natural beauty, creative expression, priceless friendships, all of which you'll find at the Dixon. And we'd love to see you here. After all, it's always a beautiful day at the Dixon. Enjoy.
One of the things I love doing on tours is making connections between works and exhibitions and work in our permanent collection or things you may have seen here before. So that's the case with the Tanner wall that I'm standing in front of. These are both works relating to Henry Ossawa Tanner, who was the first African American admitted to the National Academy of Design, the first African American to become a full academician. and that didn't happen until 1927. But we have a portrait of Tanner here by his friend Richard E. Miller, which shows him kind of as pensive and thoughtful, and actually I think Miller painted this more in Tanner's style than his own, which I think is really interesting. And we have Tanner's diploma piece here, the Miraculous Hall of Fishes. Tanner's father was a bishop, so a lot of his work tends to be biblical or spiritual or religious in nature. And you may have seen this painting before if you came to our 2016 exhibition on hunting and fishing in American art. It was called Wild Spaces, Open Seasons. And this painting was kind of a star of the fishing section of that show. Here at the Dixon, we have kind of a long-term relationship now with American regionalism or American scene painting, going back to our 2009 exhibition, Regional Dialect. And we've been showing American art from the 20s, 30s, and early 40s ever since. And that's why I was super excited about the room that we're in right now. The National Academy has some great examples of regionalist painting or American scene painting or social realism. And I thought this example by Paul Sample was particularly relevant to us today. You know, when we were getting ready for this show, you see kind of thumbnails of the paintings that are going to be coming. And I thought, oh, that's a cool painting. But then the pandemic started and unemployment numbers started rising. And then when I came back to work and we started installing this, we all just kind of stood in front of it and thought, it means so much more now that we're in the situation that we're in. Isn't that amazing? And Paul Sample is a regionalist painter. He worked actually in New England and moved out to California for about 10 years, and that's where this was painted in 1931. It's called Unemployment. And I think when Sample's in Los Angeles, he's influenced by the film industry, and I think when you look at this, it has this kind of cinematic quality, kind of like setting the scene, setting the stage for a scene that's about to happen with all these figures kind of bustling about. And you see the mission here and all the people kind of crowding around it. So it's got that kind of, contemporary resonance, but at the same time, this historic quality to it and this cinematic quality to it. It's a really special painting, and I encourage you all to come up here and spend some time in front of it. As our exhibition goes further into the 20th century, I'm here in the Brinkley Gallery with a group of post-World War II paintings that illustrate how American artists turned to surrealism to work through their emotions and their reactions to the Second World War. And so I'm standing in front of one of the great American artists who used surrealism in the post-war period, Huey Lee Smith. Huey Lee Smith was actually only the second African-American artist to become a full academician at the National Academy. And that was a full 40 years after Tanner was. So we're in the late 1960s here. And Huey Lee Smith, his landscapes a lot of times have this desolate quality to them. So he's blending surrealism with a kind of realism. So it's a really representational painting, but there's a sense of loneliness and alienation that pervades them. And that is a quality that's common to a lot of his work, and according to the artist, mirrors the alienation that he felt as a black artist and a black man in the United States in the mid-20th century. And another thing to think about, these paintings are made at such a tumultuous moment. This is the late 1960s. We're in the midst of the civil rights movement. So kind of knowing the moment in which these paintings are made really adds to your understanding of it. So if you're interested in Huey Lee Smith, we will have paintings by him next fall in an exhibition that we're doing here at the Dixon that we're organizing ourselves called Black Artists in America. And that exhibition's actually been being guest curated by Dr. Ernestine Jenkins from the University of Memphis. And Huey Lee Smith's represented there. So that's just a little sneak peek, and this is kind of a taste of things to come. And so stay tuned for that. So the National Academy continues, even in the 21st century here today, to promote and celebrate American art and American artists. So So I thought it would be great to end with this painting by an artist who was made an academician as recent as 2013, so not that long ago. This is David Dowell's painting called Bruce and Me. And as American artists are becoming more experimental, more open to ideas, this is an acrylic and silk screen on canvas. And actually, I kind of chose this because I don't know about y'all, but Once Upon a Time in Hollywood has been on TV like 9 million times, and I think I've watched it basically every time over quarantine, so I thought this would be a fun one to talk about. So David Dowell is a Chinese American, an immigrant himself, and a lot of his work deals with nostalgia, but I think also when you're looking at it, he's questioning or interrogating that nostalgia and why we, kind of love certain things from decades ago. So I think when you look at this, and it's got this great kind of anticipates millennial pink, maybe I think too. So it's this poppy, luscious color that kind of pulls you in and has this nostalgic image here. And maybe again, you kind of see why you're questioning that. Why do we love Bruce Lee so much? So anyway, you can come see for yourself what you think about it, what it makes you think about. So I want to encourage you all to come see this show. It's up through September. You've got plenty of time to come see it. Go to our website to see what our, kind of reopening precautions, safety precautions are. I've gone through here several times with the mask on. It's super enjoyable. It feels really calm and quiet in here. And let us know if you're coming by. We'd love to say hi. And thank you for continuing your support of the Dixon. Thank you for continuing your membership. We'll keep doing these things until we can be together again. But I'm just happy to be talking to you and can't wait to see you all soon. Thanks.
Hey!
Hi, everybody.
Hi!
So, I am Chantel Drake. I'm Director of Development Communications at the Dixon. We are so happy you all are here for our first virtual Culture and Cocktails. Thank you so much, Barbara, for getting us started with the cocktails. And thank you to the Marston Group for being Cosmopolitan sponsors this year. Before we get started with the question and answer portion of this event, we have a treat as a thank you for your continued support and membership during this time. We are giving away a catalog to one lucky attendee tonight. I will announce the winner at the end of the Q&A, so stay tuned. Speaking of Q&A, I hope all of you use that function to submit questions to Julie about the exhibition. I have a few to get us started, so please just add your questions as you have them, and we will we'll ask Julie and we'll get right to it. Okay, hey Julie.
Hi! This
Awesome
was fun. Yeah. Hey, Barbara and Lewis really need their own like Food Network show. They did so good.
I could watch them mix drinks every night. Very cute. Okay, so you talked about a lot in the tour. I wanted to ask specifically about the portraits. Would artists ever commission their own portraits, or would they sit for their portrait with no intention of keeping it just as a favor to another artist?
So to become an associate at the National Academy, you have, like I said in the video, you have to present a portrait of yourself to the Academy's collection. So I think a lot of times if you go through the show, a lot of times you see a lot of self-portraits. So I think maybe artists might be uncomfortable asking their friend to take their picture or to paint their picture. And it's just an easy exercise, I think, for artists to do. But then sometimes you get those instances where it's a portrait, an artist friend painting, another friend. For his portrait for the National Academy. And I think that's really interesting. I don't know so much that it's like a commission as a favor, to have a friend paint another friend.
Gotcha. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, we do have one question from the crowd. You might know him. His name is Kevin Sharp. I'm a big fan of Andrew Wyeth. Was he a member of the National Academy?
Yes, Kevin, he was. There's the cover of the catalog. Chantel, can you hold it up? Is Andrew Wyeth. Yeah, that's a great painting in the exhibition. And his dad, if I'm getting this right, N.C. Wyeth, is also in the exhibition as well with a self-portrait and a seascape. So you're in luck, Kevin.
Okay, another question from the crowd. I love seeing the David Dowell piece. Is that how you say his last name, Dowell? Okay. Is that the latest National Academy entry in the show?
No, so David Dowell was made an academician in 2013, but that painting is actually from like the year 2000 or 2001. And there's a few others in the exhibition that are as late as 2011 or I think 2011 might be the latest in the show. But all of those paintings are in the same gallery, in the Phillips Gallery.
Awesome. Okay, so you mentioned Monet looking like a hipster. Were the artists back then as cool as we assume they were, since they were the content creators of the 19th century, and we hold content creators in such high regard?
Yeah, I think they were cool. I mean, they were cool to me, I guess. But yeah, the National Academy was, for so long, was such a big deal. And the shows, the National Academy held annual shows, kind of like, y'all long-term Dixonians know we talk about the Paris Salon a lot and how big of a deal that was. Well, in the United States, the National Academy show was the equivalent of that. And all these newspapers covered the National Academy in their shows and wrote about the artists. So everybody knew kind of who the top dogs were, really. And they were cool. They, you know, if there was such a thing as cool in 1850, they were cool. But, you know, as time goes on and the National Academy kind of remains conservative in that, you know, I don't know, as different art movements come into play, like Impressionism and Post-Impressionism, and the National Academy kind of stays true to its roots in realism. There come to be these groups of artists who are kind of disgruntled with that and rebel against them. So maybe those guys become the cool artists, the cool rebels.
Yeah,
and
the rebels.
And the National Academy is kind of the old group.
Gotcha. Okay, so you mentioned an artist had a house near Monet. Did they all live relatively near one another in Europe or in the States? Was that, I mean, you just kind of talked about the rebels versus the other group. Where, you know, did they live in close proximity and did they hang out with each other a lot?
Well, yeah, like in Giverny, where Friesica was, there were a lot of American artists who kind of flocked to Giverny. That was kind of a colony for American artists in France. And in Paris, they might have all kind of clustered together in the same part of town. But yeah, in New York too, there's places like the 10th Street Studio Building, which was a building in New York that was actually built to house artist studios. So a lot of artists, it was a great place. It had, you know, large studio spaces, natural light. So a lot of artists wanted to have their studio there, and they kind of all clustered together and became friends by proximity.
Gotcha. Okay. So you mentioned the gap between Tanner and Smith joining the Academy. How many more African Americans are in the Academy now?
Okay, so I started looking into this after we talked, and there's a lot of members of the National Academy. I think the National Academy has come a long way from, you know, the 1927 when Tanner became an academician, and then 40 years later, Huey Lee Smith. So it seemed like after Huey Lee Smith, things got a lot better. So in, like, you'll see works by Charles White in the exhibition and Benny Andrews, for just to name a couple. But today, I think, you know, there's about a few hundred members of the National Academy of Design that are living right now. I'd say maybe 10% are African American.
Okay.
So there's room for improvement.
Yeah.
But
sure.
they induct a new class each year. and maybe about 15 artists in each kind of new group of academicians that gets elected each year.
Okay, so we have a question for Barbara, and I don't know how we're going to be able to answer this, but what year Pappy was that? So we're going to have to bring Barbara in to answer that question if we can.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. It just says 15 years old, but it doesn't say how old it is. But Louis is actually telling me it's Providence. And so I'm not naming names because they're going to come after this a little bit left. But a friend came how many years ago?
Oh, probably 10 years ago.
10 years ago. Was this out of the farm?
No, it's right here.
Okay. They came over and left it. And my reprobate husband never gave it back. And so,
I will tell you that there was not much stem. So can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Really? I enjoyed the exhibit. My favorite painting in there was of the artist, I guess you pronounce it Ucel. UCEL?
CEL. I'm drawing a blank. Okay, keep going.
And I thought it was interesting. He's from Oklahoma. And so I like this self-portrait. And I started reading about it. And he was a very controversial figure at the time because he stood for the rights of the Native Americans or the Native American Indians
okay.
in Oklahoma, which I found, certainly in light of what's going on today, I said, you know, interesting guy. So I don't know much about him as an artist, but I did think it was very interesting in light of what we're seeing today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of something I feel like that kind of hits you when you go through the show is that some of these artists that seem kind of a world away from us today are exploring the same themes that are like very contemporary artists are doing right now during this, you know, crazy moment that we're in. And I think that's kind of I don't know, I feel like that's a big takeaway to take from this exhibition is that how American artists are not afraid to, you know, I don't know, not get controversial in their work, but they're not afraid to address social issues in their work. And it's been like that kind of, you know, that's a tradition in American art going back, you know, at least 100 years.
and it's a gift.
Yeah.
That they're able to do that.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing that's great about this exhibition is that certainly there's a lot of artists that are based in New York that are represented, but there's also artists that are working, like you say, in Oklahoma or in the Midwest, in California, in different parts of the country. So I think that gives you a better kind of cross-section of American art, at, you know, at any moment in which it was created.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Barbara and Louis. Okay, so how many or how often are the works from the exhibition on view? Do the works always travel, or can you see an exhibition at the Academy?
Good question. Kevin and I were just talking about this today. So the National Academy Museum was in this beautiful old kind of Beaux-Arts building in New York, and they closed their museum a few years ago. So that's probably, I mean, that is why we're able to enjoy their collection. They've put it on the road in this traveling exhibition. So it's kind of got this long cross-country trip. Actually, after it came to us from, I think it was in Palm Beach, Florida. And then after it leaves the Dixon, it's going to Santa Fe. So it's kind of making a cross-country tour for a lot of people who may not necessarily have gone to the National Academy Museum, for them to be able to see the amazing work that's in their collection. So unfortunately, once this tour is over, there is no museum for you to be able to see it. I'm glad that I was able to visit the museum before they closed. And the way they have their work installed was kind of salon style. So from the, you know, basically chair rail to the ceiling was just stacked, crammed full of paintings, which was kind of, you know, it's an interesting way to take in works of art. But I'm glad I was able to see it. So I don't know, you know, I don't know where the permanent home of all of these is going to be once this tour is over, but I'm sure if you stay tuned to Art News, it'll be published somewhere.
Good, good. So another question, how long will the exhibition be on view?
Oh, easy. That's an easy question. We just opened it this past weekend and it's on view through September 27th.
Awesome.
So you've got plenty of time to come see it and just go to, I would say I've done the test of going to the website and making the reservation, and it's real easy and you get your time that you come. And the galleries feel so nice and cool right now. It's a nice, it's a nice thing to do to get out of your house a little bit. So I encourage all of y'all to come, and I really do mean it. Like I said in the video, if you're coming and we'd love to say hi. Let us know if you're coming.
Okay, are there any more questions? Put them in the Q&A.
Last chance.
Last call for questions. All right, so I think we have a winner. I have a team of people texting me. Patty Bundy, you are the winner of a For America catalog. We will be in touch with you to let you know how you can get this lovely catalog. We hope that you have enjoyed this Culture and Cocktails. Thank you again for attending, and we apologize for anyone who received the link late in the day. Oh, hello.
Thank you. How exciting.
Good. I'm glad. So I apologize for anyone who received the link late in the day, but we're glad you made it. We hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any more questions about the process of how to reserve a time to come to the Dixon to see the exhibition, just let us know. It seemed Sunday was our opening day, and it seemed like a lot of people enjoyed it and had a great experience registering their time and visiting the Dixon. So we hope all of you take advantage of that and come to see the show. Thank you, Julie, for your tour. Thank you, Chip and the Marston Group for being sponsors. And thank you again to Barbara and Lewis for your amazing cocktail mixing skills.
It's delicious.
Yeah, oh good, Julie's drinking one. Nice, very nice. Okay, I think this concludes our event. So thank you all so much for coming and have a great night.
Thanks, guys. Bye.